Hi everybody, this is Ellie. Thanks so much for joining me today for a Plan With Me video for the week of July 20th to the 26th. I'm in my One Book July setup, which is the standard size Traveler's Notebook from Traveler's Company, and I'm in the 002 insert, which is the grid, and I absolutely love it. I'm just flipping to the next blank spot to start this week, and I'm taking a look at how I prepared for the beginning of last week. Last week was my first week having my rolling weekly and my weekly reflection on the same page. My thought was that I would complete both of those for the same week. So at the end of the week, I'd flip back to that page and I would go through my tasks, check off and migrate what I could, and fill in the weekly reflection. It was a good idea in theory, but in practice, when it actually came time to fill out my weekly reflection, I am so used to having it at the end of the week that I actually started writing in the coming weeks section. So this week, I thought I would try and do something a little bit different. I've flipped the format, and at the top of the page, I'm going to do the weekly reflection for the previous week. And in the bottom section, I'm going to do the coming week's rolling weekly task list. I hope that makes sense. One thing that I didn't consider is that originally I didn't split the page in half equally. I actually left more space on the bottom for the weekly reflection because I tend to do more writing there. And when I was doing this week's setup, I just kind of cheated the pages over so I could start those lines the same as I had done the previous week. So I ended up with a smaller weekly reflection on top, but that's okay. I end up writing the titles vertically along the sides of the boxes, and that way I've saved myself a little bit of extra space. I've talked about this before, but I'll mention it again briefly. The sections that I have in my weekly reflection are what's working, what's not working, week 30 prep or upcoming week preparations. So that's anything like appointments, events, if I have a call scheduled. And the last section is tomorrow's priorities. And I've considered making that next week's priorities, but I feel like that would be redundant since I have my rolling weekly just below that. And I also really like sitting down on Sunday and completing this and just having a couple of focuses for the next day to start the week off. So for now, I'm going to leave it as is since it's been working for me. Now I'm getting started on my rolling weekly, which is inspired by Elizabeth at Plant-Based Pride. She has a whole video where she shares how she sets up her rolling weekly and uses it, so I'll be sure to link that down below. Basically, I write the days of the week, and directly beside that, I do my task icon, which for me is a dot. I'll write tasks above that, and then I'll draw a line across. So the task dot that I have, below that I will line up all of my tasks for the week. In a moment, you'll see me flip back so that I can see what wasn't done the previous week and what I'm going to migrate over. I'm going ahead and doing some hand lettering to write the titles for these sections. I'm using the Uni-ball Signo in the 0.38 this month, and I really love this pen. There is a little bit of a dry time, so you'll see me kind of moving that pink blotting paper around to try and stop myself from smearing. There's a little dry time, plus I'm super heavy-handed, so that just gives me a little bit of a safety net. That being said, if you looked closely, you would still see smears. They don't bother me though. So I've written week 29 for the reflection and week 30 for the tasks, and that just helps me remember where I am in the year. Side note, it's so hard to believe we're nearly done July. This year has been something. I'm flipping back to last week to see which tasks I've completed and which ones I'd like to migrate. I actually have a lot of ongoing tasks right now, so instead of having anything completed, I just like to work on it a little bit every week, and this helps me see when I'm able to do that. So for example, things like my long-term collections notebook is being migrated from week to week right now. I'm getting ready to set up my dailies, and I've pulled out this little pocket that I'm so proud of. These dates are from 3 years apart, and I printed them on Tombow River paper and cut them out to keep inside this setup. So I just carefully put my precious pocket away there, and I'm erasing the lines that I drew just when I was spacing out that cross there. And I've grabbed my Tombow dot adhesive, which is what I prefer to use, and I'm just going to go ahead and try and get close to the corners. I really prefer this dot adhesive because it's kind of easy to wipe off any of the extra adhesive. Like if you kind of brush your finger around the edges like that, it rolls up, and that way I don't have to worry about the pages sticking together. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of these dates down. I do try to line them up with a specific grid line. Since my dailies do have 2 columns, I will line my tasks up with the edge of the date, so it's easier for me to have that consistent throughout the week, and I like the look of it, and it's easier for me to kind of measure and space my writing. I'm just showing you on a post-it on my blotting paper. I have these little doodle emojis because I think it's super cute to include those in my journaling sometimes, and I wanted a reference point. Here you see me starting to draw in my little morning routine markers. So I'll draw a rising sun and a moon, and then I will use my Tombow to fill in those circles that I can check off, hopefully, every day. I still have just 1 circle to check off for my evening routine, and I've started working on that this month, but it's not something that I'm ready to implement quite yet. Now I'm just flipping back to my July calendar to see if I have any appointments or events scheduled for this week. I do actually have a doctor's appointment, a phone appointment on Wednesday, so I've just been drawing a triangle, which is my appointment marker with the Tombow, and I do check that off when I'm finished. I really like how that's been working this month. I'm going ahead and working on my Instagram schedule for the week. First, I go through with my Tombow and do the circles for the dates I'd like to post, and then I'm going through and writing what I'd like the specific posts to be. And this isn't set in stone. It's something that I can change as necessary. I'll just cross it off or white it out if I need to. I'm going ahead and writing my content schedule on my daily pages as well. Even though I do look at my monthly every morning, it's my daily pages that are my workhorses, so I make sure to have it there where I'm definitely going to see it and much more likely to check it off. I'm taking a look at my tracker, looking at my monthly goals, my weekly intentions, the daily habits, and seeing if there's anything that I want to incorporate on a specific day this week. And for this week, there isn't. I'm just showing you here that I've reached the middle of my insert, and I will have more than enough space for the rest of this month. I haven't been pre-decorating with washi because I never know how much or how little space I'll have at the end of each day, and I don't want to limit myself. So I've been flexible and having fun with it. I do use the bookmark that came with the leather cover to mark my dailies, and I've also paper clipped the completed dailies together just because I'm not used to a book that doesn't lay flat, and that just helps it stay nice and contained. I have my 2 pen loops for my Tombow and my Uni-ball Signo, and I'm really enjoying this setup. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.